Hello. So I'm new to this whole vlogging thing, and not just as somebody who's putting content out on the internet, but also as a consumer, as a watcher of these. I just got introduced to Casey Neistat about a year and a half ago, which then led me to Peter McKinnon, and then I thought, you know, this might be a medium that I could use as a way to practice the craft of filmmaking and content production. And I'm hoping at this point it's just all about learning the kind of what to do's and what not to do's of content creation, of vlogging. So until recently, YouTube for me was a place where I went to find tutorials on how to fix my dryer. And then I saw what Casey Neistat and Peter McKinnon were doing, and the light bulb sort of came on for me. I started seeing this as a platform for exercising and flexing the muscles of learning film production. And just about every filmmaker that I've listened to talk about their advice to new filmmakers, it's make things and show it to people. But some of the things I learned from pointing a camera to myself and walking around and doing things was there's a lot of these little sort of things that you don't really think about, like spatial awareness. Like what's this going to look like when you take it back to the computer and start editing it? Is this going to feel bland? Is it going to feel awkward? Like shooting in a bathroom is sort of an awkward space to be shooting unless it serves some other purpose. Shooting with a mirror behind you. We were just riding around. You can probably see my camera in that reflection of that thing. There's a game on, a soccer match between Malaysia and Vietnam, and the city is just lit up right now. Everywhere you go, there's cheering everywhere. And so we're going down right now to go film the madness. This should be fun. And there's me. Or a reflective window, because I feel like even though we know that I'm holding a camera pointing to myself, it sort of takes me out of what the person is saying and focuses my attention on the fact that they're filming themselves. And then also what I notice is that the people who are really good at this tend to slow down a little bit, put a little bit of space in between their sentences, or are very good at articulating themselves so that they don't have editing issues later on. In this episode, I'm going to show you a video that was a major turning point for me in terms of a lot of lessons learned in 1 week. We shot a video that really put our knowledge and skills to the test, and I was really proud of it. I was really proud to be able to watch it with an audience in a theater. And stick around to the end of the video because I'm gonna share a few of the things that I learned from the process of making this film. So I just arrived at the Mission Theater, a historic theater here in Portland, Oregon, where PDX Short Docs, which is sort of a film festival for short documentaries, is happening tonight. And one of my projects that I worked on with a few other people was entered by one of the other people that I worked with on it. So I'm excited to see what this is all about.
I love doing bike rides with Dad, and I love to do with my mom, play tennis with her.
Oliver is constantly surprising us. He is super tenacious and will do whatever he needs to do to figure out how to solve his problems. He is going to be singled out his whole life. He is a Chinese kid in a white family. He is a one-handed child.
Save it.
Save it?
Save my bike.
Again, try one more time.
Okay, ready? This is it. This is the one.
We have to take a step back as parents and let him try to figure it out himself.
The first prosthetic arm we built him had a little passive hand on it, and he could play basketball and do a couple things, but pretty soon it just kind of sat in the corner.
There's a lot of special needs that we're not equipped for. That's one that we are.
Nice.
There you go, drop the bat, do a dance move.
There's regularly legs and arms floating around.
We want to be able to capture that motion.
Right.
And we got to find a way to squeeze it tight.
I'm so excited that I don't have any words.
I first heard of Dr. Chi on NPR talking about prosthetics.
And he reached out to me and said, hey, would you like to kind of collaborate?
What he's doing is outside the box of our industry standard.
So we are doing the first clinical trial from 3D printed prosthetic devices for children.
I was just curious to see how we could blend traditional prosthetics with some of the really cool things that he was doing.
It was just so inaccessible. You know, a lot of times financially it was a burden and rate limiting step to get any of these devices, and most of these children ended up not having anything. We try to find a free solution for them, whether that be an adaptive attachments where they can play t-ball or play a guitar or anything to help their lives. Tim had said that Ollie always wanted to play t-ball and kind of struggled with being able to hold the bat, doing bimanual swinging. And it was amazing. We did the quick release, put the t-ball on. We had bought a little set right in front of OHSU in front of the lawn there. The very first swing, Ollie nailed the t-ball and almost knocked it out of the park.
With the bat in my rope band, I threw balls, baseball.
I can't think of anything he hasn't been able to do.
I think Ollie loves his new robot hand.
Are you gonna sleep hard tonight?
I often tell the children they're perfect the way they are. There's nothing missing about them.
Yeah.
Our hope with introducing prosthetics for him is that he would see them as tools instead of something that he needs or requires.
You help me, Dad?
No, you got it. They're fun and they help make things a little bit easier, but it doesn't change at all who he is or who we are as a family.
Oliver is the poster child for prosthetics optional. He's definitely becoming more and more aware, but I think it has nothing to do with his abilities and more of his awareness of other people's reactions to him.
Oh!
No, it's still going. That's okay, that it goes slow.
Oh.
Slow motion is the best.
Oh, it might make it. No, our
Stop.
floors are too level.
This is where we're at now with him as a 4-year-old. We'll be having different conversations with him when he's 7, and then when he's 12, and then when he's 17.
We are creating a whole new generation of children that probably would have either been completely happy without a device, that maybe later on will be interested in getting something more complex.
We want him to be confident in his identity and his body and not something that needs to be covered up.
I'm impressed.
My buzz is the best. And my dad's the best.
Slow down.
And my mom's the best. And my sister's the best. And I'm done talking.
Now we're gonna go down for a Q&A. My name is Lathan Gorbett, and Elaine and I worked on the Just Ollie piece about the prosthetics. Interesting thing about that was that it started out as a story. We were gonna be telling a story about 3D printed prosthetic limbs, and we just fell in love with Ollie, and the story became more about Ollie. So that was an interesting lesson learned in documentary filmmaking. So I hope you enjoyed that. It was a lot of fun to make, and the learning process was just extremely valuable for that one. A few of the lessons that I learned from making that particular video was, first was really how to trust other people in the creative process. I was the editor on that video, but it was shot by 4 different people, all 4 with different styles and different equipment. And so when I sat down and I was knocking out the edit, I was sending copies of it over to the team, and they would send critiques. And some of the critiques were hard for me, but I just had to learn how to let it go. And with my character, that was really not easy for me. But it turned out to be extremely valuable to take myself out of the equation for a moment and provide space for other people's opinions and critiques to come in, which I've taken with me into other projects, and it's been really valuable. The second was shooting in 4K and just learning about the stress that puts on a project, especially one that is shot and edited in 6 days. There was a whole range of different techniques and equipment that was used on this project that I'd never worked with before, so that's always really valuable. Also, what it felt like to really work at an intense pace on a project, because up until this point it had all been student work, and I'd have weeks to finish a 1-minute video. And this was 6 days to finish something that was going to be shown to an audience of peers and people that I didn't know. And as I mentioned in the Q&A that you saw, allowing for the story to kind of take shape on its own, while also using our own disciplines, our own knowledge, and our own creativity to sort of mold things, but allowing space for the story itself to be shown to us. So really valuable lessons. And for future reference, I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on this level of the process, but I really want to spend the first few episodes establishing myself to whoever might be watching this. And I really do see this as sort of a video diary of things that I put out as I'm thinking about them. I'm writing them down in this and coming up with ideas for future episodes. So I hope it's been enjoyable so far, and I'm really enjoying putting these out, and I look forward to next week. Alright, so please go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Please hit the like button if you liked the video or if you didn't completely hate it. And please leave a comment, specifically a comment with a link to anything that you might be working on. If you're a musician, if you're a podcaster, if you're a vlogger, a blogger, anything. I'd love to see other people's work. And if you want to make a comment as to something you might have learned from the specific project that you're sending a link to, I'd love that too. So I'd like this to be a cyclical relationship between anybody who might be watching this and myself, and I hope that I can learn something from people, because that's really what this is all about for me. Thank you.